Hi, my name is Rob Abel. I'm the content coordinator with SC Magazine, and today here in the SC studios with us we have Lance James, chief scientist at Flashpoint. Lance, how you doing today?
Unbelievable. Thanks for asking.
So why don't you tell us about some of the work you've done with Mr. Robot?
Well, as grand as it sounds, most of it was a lot of the promo work. So I got to be involved with chatting with, some of the folks that are kind of some of the idea folks that are trying to what hacks, things like that. But then also got to kind of really talk to the digital marketing team and the promo team about what the community, the Infamous Set community, hacker community actually thought about the show. So it was actually cool because I got to talk to them earlier before they were really sure that they wanted to go that direction. But basically, the more the hackers they talked to, the more they came to the show, the episode called Decoded, which I got to be on, where it was this selection of hackers like Jeff Moss from DEF CON and all that was on it as well, and really talking about the reality of the show, how people felt about the show from the community perspective. And one of the my experiences about it is to be able to actually even just get close to those guys and tell them, dude, this is the first show from a hacker perspective that you guys have done a lot of being mindful about it and thoughtful of it and doing your homework and research, and we're really happy to see it represented in that way. So, so many times we've seen shows where we're like the movie Hackers and this, and where it's just kind of a joke, right?
Nice. And so you actually have a lot of background with working with law enforcement to take down real life hackers. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So in real life, the main character might be someone I would be going after or consulting with about going after. So, so one of the big ones that I did a couple years ago was CryptoLocker, which was a big, was kind of what made ransomware talk of the town now. Kind of like APT, Advanced Persistent Threats, were a few years ago, right? So, CryptoLocker was the first one that was doing, public key cryptography. It was doing it right. It was scary because security researchers were having trouble, actually breaking the keys and reversing all this stuff. So we actually put together. I got to work with the FBI and also NCA in the UK and a lot of different places, just different law enforcement all over the world, and the security community. I helped run a working group that we kind of had forensics teams, we had and threat intelligence teams. We had malware teams. We had people that would sinkhole the data. We'd get all the data, and it was actually cool because it wasn't obviously just me, but it was cool to watch the entire community come together and converse back and forth. And it was no judgment. Oh, you're FBI. I don't talk to you. Versus this or that. It was literally a conglomerate of we have a problem on the internet. Let's work to solve this problem.
That's really awesome. Let's go back a little bit to Mr. Robot. And as much as I would love for someone to erase all the debt in the world or something, what are some of the real life threats from the show that we're seeing more of in the real world and we might need to look out for?
Well, one of the things that I think that was very interesting is their targeted approach, right? So we mentioned APT, Advanced Persistent Threat. Now, one of the things that's also mostly real life in this world is that they have represented culturally this F society, this whole thing, and we know what that is. That is based on the hacktivism in these teenage groups and these movements, whatever, whatever it is, some kind of movement. And it is this feeling of political drive or something's wrong and stuff, and then you kind of utilizing that, you think you're the good guy and you're hacking into something and you have a reason for doing it, right? So, and I always like to make fun of it because when you look at being the guy who's chasing hackers, you look at both sides and you go, everybody thinks they're the good guy, right? So in this case, that is, before we get to the technical, that is actually very important to address, is that the characters that are actually, the hackers themselves and they're going after this, and their reasons behind it are real. And so that's an interesting thing, and the motivation, because I look at, when I deal with hackers and when I say that, criminal hackers, I deal with their motivation first and then their technical capabilities, right? So now on the technical capabilities, one of the things that's really, most of the techniques they used Sammy Kimkar's mag spoof on the recent episodes, which was awesome. It's nice to see them literally going and actually taking real tools and doing that. Mark Rogers, actually, who's out in the UK, he lives here. That was from the UK, but he works at Cloudflare. He's the technical writer for all these exploits. So in truth, all of the exploits are legitimate, right? They are all real facing, and I haven't seen one that I can say that could not happen, right? The difficulties of the exploits is how we probably want to rank them.
All right, thank you. And this is Rob Abel with SC Magazine. Have a great day and stay safe online.